Good morning, Xbox. Just welcome everybody to the 38th episode of Good Morning Xbox. I'm your host, Mr. Boom Boom Kaboom. It is good to see everyone. We've got a dynamite show lined up for you today. We have our usual cast of characters on the panel and a very special guest with us this morning. But before we get to him, let's jump in and introduce our panel. And we'll start with the way they appear on my screen. Mr. Cerebral Paul is with his bright and bushy tail this morning, ready to roll. What's up, Paul?
Bright and what now? Who's been looking at my tail? Stop it. Good morning, everybody. Lovely day so far. Of course, it's just getting started. Could go downhill from here. Who knows? Anyway, so let's have a great show, and I'm looking forward to it. Lots of fun topics, and Sir X-Men is a great dude, and he's one of the older gamers than even me. So that really dates him, so, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we're going to be talking about the Elden Ring. I thought it was fitting that we would have two of the oldest in the gaming community here to break things down for us today. So, taking about 40 years off that timeline and going back a little bit. Yes, we got one of the youngest panel members. Cool Cat Terri is in the house. What's happening, Cool Cat Terri?
I'm doing quite well, thank you. It's been a busy couple weeks, but things are starting to, fall into place finally.
As long as you're not falling, that's the main thing. She is here. That's an amazing testament.
Yes.
I've seen her Twitter timeline. She has been a busy cat. So, but she is here, and her background is slowly but surely changing right in front of her eyes.
I don't have my good PC setup hooked up, so like my camera right now keeps dimming, and it's driving me nuts.
I miss seeing your bike in the background, though.
That's gone. That's going to be in the garage where it belongs.
Need the cats now. And to the man who's also been busy because he managed to get a good fresh shavely face, Mr. Axel1324. Because I signed the podcast, so you got a pretty mean goatee going on when you grow that thing out there.
Yeah, that's only like 2 days of not shaving too.
Jeez.
Yeah, I could grow an epic beard real quick. Yeah. Hey, good morning, everybody. Good morning, everybody. Welcome, and let's get talking to some Elden Ring. Let's talk about how hard it is to get good on that open world game.
You're really gonna go there right off the bat. I'm gonna.
Hey man, I love Elden Ring. I love these games. You know me, Paul.
Well, I'm glad he's talking about Elden Ring and not something else. Yes. Yeah. All right.
Not get other things.
Yeah, From hard to extremely smooth.
He likes it hard. He likes it hard. Yeah. Well. Yeah.
From hard to extremely smooth, it's the one and only Scrub Nurse in the house this morning.
Hey, what's going on? Hope everybody got their coffee. Trying to get my voice all straight. It was a long night hanging out with the boys. I actually got out of the house, so that was good. Been playing some Cyberpunk. I've been loving it. So yeah, let's get ready to talk some games. We got Sir X-Man, got a good guest. What's up, chat? Let's get ready.
Absolutely. Morning. And yes, the official introduction to Sir X-Man. For some of you, you may have seen him around many of the podcast community chats. He has been a guest on various podcasts in the last little while, but it's an honor to finally get him on Good Morning Xbox. He said he had the availability, and I was like, yeah, let's get you on here. So this, I think, one of the awesomest voices in all of podcasting. Sir X-Man is here with us this morning.
Good morning, everybody. How you doing? Just hanging out with some of my friends on the channel. Gonna talk some games. I'm an old school gamer. That's all there is to it. That's it.
Old school cool, baby. Old school cool. Hey, I'm not that far behind you guys. I'll be 46 now this summer, so
we got you by.
We got like 9 years, dude. Like
really?
9 years.
Come on, 10 years.
Hey.
Come on, man.
Wow.
I'm starting to think that me and Terry are the young guns here.
I still have
why did you not include me? Why you left me out?
Because I know you're older than me.
Wow.
All right. Speaking of old farts, now let's get to the chat. Let's say hello to some people
that
over
already. Let's get that. Hopefully, you got that out of your system before the show this week.
Yeah, those are good for the moment, but hey, they can rear up really pretty quick. Pardon the pun. In the chat, we got our good friend of the show, 108 Dragons TV, aka Lemon, is here. What is going on, baby? What's happening, man? Good to see you here. As always, Doggy Dog 420 is usually the first guy up and at him and ready to roll, and he comes in hot and heavy with the first super chat, $1.99. It's GMX time. And happy Sunday, new panel and chat. Well, happy Sunday to you. Casket Repair hanging out with us as well. Good to see you, Casket. We got the Toolman 55. What's happening, Toolman? And yeah, and from there we'll keep on going. So but anyway, good to see everybody in the chat. Let's get right into the topics. We're going to try to keep the podcast on point as much as possible this morning. Let's talk about the Elden. Well, no, we'll talk about really quickly this one right here. Let me share the screen with people if you haven't seen it. But it's an interesting thing we saw yesterday, which kind of confirms a little bit about what we pretty much had thought was going to happen here. And, is this, and we'll talk more about it in depth. Here we go. Let me just add it to the stream here. Oh, this is the wrong one. Nope, that's the wrong. I was bringing in the trailer. Hang on.
He may actually show us his.
You caught me off guard. Like, is it time
yet? Yeah, we got lucky right there.
Yeah, that would be bad. Your porn pops up on the screen or something. Oh my god, crazy. All right, let's bring this up just so you can see it. There you go. All right. So according to Charlie Intel, which is basically like an official, Twitter site and social media thing for Call of Duty, announced that there's going to be no premium COD in 2023. That means the one that's coming out for this year is still on track, but the Treyarch version of Call of Duty looks like it's going to hit a speed bump and be pushed down the road. That means it'll probably fall into 2024 unless they shuffle the entire cabinet around. So for any Call of Duty fans here, what is your take on this? Is this a good thing? Is it a bad thing? How do you perceive it? Do you also think perhaps this is part of perhaps more Microsoft's doing now? This, not to say that they would went out and go, hey, let's, but like probably said, you know what, guys, there's no need to rush on this. Yes, I know the ink's not dried in all the contracts, but I would assume that, they have their hand in a lot of the decision making at this point, or at least to some degree. So I'm going to do a round table on this one. Perhaps anyone here who's a big Call of Duty fan, perhaps stick your hand up. Let me know. All right, it sounds like Scrub's trying to clear something from his throat here. Scrub, you take away on this one. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Scrub.
I'm definitely happy for this. What I do want to say is Activision did come out with a statement and saying that this was their own choice. They have been looking at their numbers for Call of Duty, even though Call of Duty is the most successful game usually every year come out, especially for the PS5, but also Xbox as well. The numbers have steadily been declining. Like I said, they're still number one, but when you've been number one so long, even if you take one little step back, people start getting scared because that's where Activision has been putting all their eggs in one basket. All their studios, all their money is going into Call of Duty. So we do know the quality for the last couple of games have been going down. So this is something I think they need to do. Go ahead, give you an extra year. A lot of people are saying take off a year. They're not taking off a year. They are going to be working. This is just going to give them more time to make the game more quality, add in features that a lot of times they might not be able to do because they're rushing, or just give them time to think of how they can better the game. So we've seen this with Assassin's Creed. Assassin's Creed was every year, boom, boom, boom. It started getting horrible. We've all seen the memes where, person's face is missing, eyeballs sticking out. And they took a break. They changed the game up a little bit. They went open world, and we saw the resurgence, with Origins and Odyssey. And I think this is much needed. I think what will happen with them being able to come out for 2024, yes, this will come in probably under Xbox's contract, but I think Activision was probably leaning that way. Microsoft shouldn't be able to have a say in that. And then if they found papers and information where Microsoft was telling them to do that and they were doing that, I think that would mess up with their acquisition. So I'm pretty sure they're staying clear of it. Yes, they're having phone calls and stuff. And I know that they're probably telling Microsoft, hey, we plan to do this. We plan to do this next. But yeah, Microsoft really can't interfere. So I'm glad that they're doing this. It needs a break. There are so many freaking games out of here. You can still come up with a great game. Look at the last Forza Horizon 5. It took an extra year. Phenomenal game. Motorsport, it took an extra year. We all know that and hope that this is going to be phenomenal as well, just looking at the studios who make these games. So I don't think this will hurt this at all. It's only for the better. Plus, there's no shooter coming out that's going to usurp it while it takes an extra year. I don't really see that. So I'm all for it.
There you go. Right to the point is Scrub Nurse. He's all for it. And Scrub, I don't know if you noticed the poll that they had just underneath it. It was sitting at nearly 99%. It was 98 point something percent in favor of the delay. That speaks volumes. That's volumes because, for a lot of people, when you hear a delay of your favorite franchise, you're kind of like, oh my God, like, no, this can't happen. So I think that speaks volumes that, there's probably a lot of non-Call of Duty fans may have voted there as well, but overall, it just tells you that people like they know there's value in the franchise. I think we all can agree that Call of Duty is never a terrible franchise. They hardly ever make a bad game per se, but when you have them every year, they become stagnant. They become void of innovation, and like I said, engine wise, everything else. So yeah, I think it's good personally, and let's find out from other people on the panel.
Yeah, when the fans are yelling and clamoring and excited that you're delaying your moneymaker, that should be assigned to you.
Absolutely. Let's just get right. I guess we don't need the screen up here anymore now. So let's bring back the panel in full force here. Let's go next with our resident military man himself, Axel1324. Axel, what's your take on the whole situation? Does it bring a small tear to your eye?
So I only play the Call of Duty campaigns, and I think it's great. When you start releasing things year after year after year, you get a lot of samey things, and it's harder. It gets harder, I think, for these game creators to throw in plot twist. So I'm in favor of the delay as well. I think it's going to be fantastic, and it can only, for the developers, it can only help them have a less stressful time. So I'm definitely in favor for it. And by the time it comes out, hey, it'll be on Game Pass. It's a win-win.
You have a great point there. Like, so you play the campaign. This has got to be a big thing because obviously it sounds like that's what they're more focused on. And it also sounds like, the Warzone and iterations of it aren't going anywhere. It's just, again, they're going to focus on the part that has largely, just kind of, it's become a whole hum. What was the last campaign you really enjoyed? I mean, for me, it was Modern Warfare, the new remake.
I was going to say the remake. Yeah, the remake of Modern Warfare was fantastic. It was like watching a movie at the time, So it was fantastic.
Modern Warfare 2, when you went through the airport, was actually the best story I've ever played in a Modern Warfare.
It was definitely memorable. Say that for sure.
My first Modern Warfare was actually Modern Warfare 2, and then I went back to play the first one. So I had to know what happened.
I love that whole the first sniper mission in the first Modern Warfare was so good, like crawling through that grass and stuff. And the dogs are going by in the tanks, and you're crawling under the tanks and shit. That was crazy. I love it.
Or the ice climbing one where you had to climb this mountain. That was terrific right there, and you had to get through it and then go to the enemy's base and try and save these people. That was excellent. Okay, I'm done.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm done. I love the campaigns. We could talk about campaigns all day, but I think it's good for the developers and it's good for us gamers.
Yeah, it sounds like they're trying to take the actual pain out of campaign, which is great. Yeah. All right, speaking of someone who's in pain every morning, Cerebral Paul.
Hey, yeah, well, I wake up with snap, crackle, pop even when I don't have cereal. Okay, it's just one of those things. It's so I am going to disagree with one thing that, well, not disagree necessarily, but point out that even though Xbox doesn't officially have a say in what goes on, I can almost all but guarantee you that those phone calls are not one-sided. That Activision may be saying, "What do you guys think? Would you mind if we held off because it will affect your release time?" And Microsoft is probably saying, "Okay, it's cool with us." Nothing official, but they probably are reaching out for, information. They're not making unilateral moves that might piss Microsoft off.
No, for sure. They just can't mandate. Yeah, they're
Right.
definitely talking. Yeah, they
Yeah.
just can't mandate.
They can't mandate, but they can probably look for opinions on both sides.
Mm.
You know, because they
Interesting though,
know in the end, by
because
the time this is all said and done, that ink will be dry, and
but what's interesting as well is that they still have what, a couple more contracts on their hands with PlayStation for the distribution rights, or what do you call it, the marketing rights, essentially.
yeah.
So this throws a really big wrench into their plans, essentially.
I'm not sure if I
No.
know. I would have to look at if it's as far as game wise, like number of games, or if it's going by year. Because if it's going by, contract ends in
Right.
this year, this is one less game in that contract. I don't think it'll affect it this much. If it did, they wouldn't have made this move.
No, and Microsoft has already said they've done before, they're going to honor any pre-existing contracts and have no plans to remove even future Call of Duty games from the PlayStation, because
The desire.
I've said it before. It'd be because it's a live service game. It'd be cutting off their nose to spite their face. They'd be losing so much in the way of money by cutting off the PlayStation player base or the other player bases that are out there.
Well,
and so why would they do that?
there is one more thing too. That's when they're supposed 2023, somewhere in March or whenever. That's when they're supposed to wrap up all this contract and everything else. So if they push it to 2023, it'll be wrapped up, and then they can use Microsoft services to help them make a better game. All the other developers can help them make a better game. So that's probably why the pushback also.
Also behind closed doors, some of that could already be happening. Because Microsoft is not, if they could be saying, hey, here's some people from this team, because in the end you're going to end up working with them anyway, so let's have them go take a look at it and see what they're going to do. Also, what else? I've also seen tweets from the actual developers saying they're thankful for the year. They'd rather have the year to work on it than be in constant crunch. Because they admit that previous years they felt like they've had to get something out, and it hadn't been even something they're proud of. Wow, look at how crappy my screen looks today. I got to work on my green screen. Anyway, but the ring looks nice. But that's about all I had to say. I know that I know that the developers are happy for it, because it takes a little bit of the pressure off of them, in the sense that they have more time to work on stuff.
Well, anytime as well, when you switch the game engine, that really puts a big wrench into development plans. It sets your cycle back by a good year, I would imagine.
And that may actually be one of the main reasons for the putting it off, because they are switching engines. Hopefully, it means they're going to get better at file management and resource management. We're not going to have these, Call of Duty needs an entire hard drive to itself crap.
Well, Call of Duty has needed a new engine for the past 6 years.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
well, they made one, didn't they? When they did the Modern Warfare one, didn't they start on a whole new engine for that?
Not really.
They just updated the current engine.
Yeah, they update. It's the Infinity Ward engine. It's like their proprietary engine. So yeah, they're coming to a company who excels in software. So I don't see why they couldn't be able to make that file size smaller. It needs to be revamped for sure.
Could you guys imagine the marketing campaign when this Call of Duty comes? Is like get it day one on Game Pass, and then bing, PlayStation.
Yeah,
I mean,
your pre-order bonus is going to be a hard drive.
Even though they're different styles of game, look at the size of Cyberpunk. Even with the new patch, it's only 60-something gig long.
Right, right. Even with the updates.
And Call of Duty is almost over twice that size. And
that's only for Warzone. The main game with the multiplayer is not. It's normal size. But
hopefully the new engine will mean that some of those things will get down to normal.
When it comes to video games, file size does matter.
and a lot of it is even with just a normal game. Whenever they patch Call of Duty, they aren't just replacing pieces; they're they tend to replace the whole damn thing. You know.
Let me catch up with the second super chat of the morning coming in from our good friend Dragon, aka Lemon. He drops a $5 and says, "Have a great show. Hope the two old men don't fall asleep."
Oh, he's gonna get it for that one.
Yeah, no shit.
Welcome to the Jenna Ice Queen Gaming. What's going on? I see R. Rob in the chat this morning. Good to see you as well. How you doing? Chase Jones, my brother. What's going on? Maddie Burns is here as well. So we got some of the who's who already in the house this morning. Cray Simmons, what's going on, my brother? Good to see you here as well. Cray's a good dude. Got to get back to playing some games with him. But life's been very difficult for him lately. So again, shout out to you, Cray. Hope everything gets better. And let's move right along, shall we? Let's bring Cool Cat Terri in on this. Cool Cat, you look like you're just, over there bawling your eyes out. The Call of Duty might get delayed.
No. As you guys know, I'm not real big on like that kind of stuff. Like I do like COD, but I fell off of COD a long time ago. The last one that I really cared about was what was it? Was it Infinite Warfare? And then after that, I just lost interest in Call of Duty altogether. So like, I don't really care. It's like I think it's a good idea for them to push off, though. They really shouldn't be pushing those games every year anyway. For my opinion, but I really don't have much I can really say about it because I don't actively play them. So it's like I don't have it's not I'm not part of that community anymore.
Gotcha. I totally understand. Like I said, everybody feels differently. Some people probably could go on about 3 hours on this. It sounds like we're all pretty well, for the most part. We're going to hear from Sir X-Man. Don't worry. But we all kind of sound like we're pretty much in the same boat where it's like we think it's definitely a good thing. And anytime you're giving developers a little bit extra time, I mean, you don't want to extend the leash too much, right? You don't want to be into a case either where it's just like, yeah, like take whatever, and then all of a sudden that 3-year expected timeline turns into 5 years or 6 years or whatever, and that's not a good look either especially for Microsoft, who just spent that much money purchasing the Activision Blizzard, and they'll want to have games to come out in certain timelines so they can keep the cash flow going and keep the incentives for Game Pass. So yeah, all right, and let's let this man take it home here with his final thoughts. Here's Mr. Sir X-Man. Go for it, brother. What do you feel about the delay? You look like you're also brokenhearted over there.
Nah, I just used to like Call of Duty a long time ago. It fell off with me when they started doing the jumping around and everything. Multiplayer pretty much stayed the same. I didn't really see any other advances in the game in years. Even though they talk about we've made improvements, we've changed things, they haven't really changed that much. When you play multiplayer with Call of Duty, it feels been feeling the same since the last 5-6 iterations of it. So the only one that I've seen that pretty much felt totally different from everyone else was when they made Black Ops 2. So it's time for them to change some things around. Right. And they need this time. And I'm not upset about it.
Do you think they're pretty much done now, Sir X-Men, with the sort of World War II motif at this point after the massive backlash of Vanguard?
Oh yeah, they're coming out of this because I think they're on a kick because they want to show, probably, I hate to say it, they want to show Battlefield how a modern shooter is supposed to be done. So they're on a vengeful kick right now. I bet you they are. They're not talking about it, but with Battlefield messing up, Halo and them are the only game in town right now.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's get into
it. I think it may go a little bit into also they want to make sure they don't do another Battlefield on their own because they watch Battlefield just eat itself up.
Yeah, and I love Battlefield. I was totally upset about that, but that's another story for another day.
Yeah.
Well, let me just ask everybody this: whether you love Call of Duty, you hate Call of Duty, where would you like to see them stretch their legs where they go? Because a few years ago, remember when they got away from World War, then they got away from the modern, or they actually went into like the future with, I think it was Infinite Warfare. And some people applauded that as one of the best campaigns in years, while other people avoided it like the plague. I actually, after much, resentment and sort of refusal to buy it. I picked it up late into its life cycle, but then I was like, man, yeah, this game was actually pretty damn good, to be honest with you. And I really enjoyed it, but it still felt disjointed. It really didn't feel as much like a Call of Duty, and largely because of the setting. So how did you guys feel about that game, and where would you like to see the franchise go? Did he stay clear of the World War II? Did he stay clear of the like way into the future kind of deal where you're dealing with technology that essentially doesn't exist? How do you feel? Where would you like to see them stretch their legs? I mean, perhaps go to another country, talk about terrorism. Where would you like them to go? Anybody can jump in on this one.
Go about 10 to 15 years in the future. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. Because you'll still have modern weapons. You'll still have some of the older weapons that you can play with that's still in your era. Plus, you'll have, like I said, the new future advanced weapons. That's where they should go with it. Don't go really all crazy like they did in the previous ones, and don't go far back. It's time to move on.
Yep.
All right. So Sir X-Men says near future. Anybody else? Paul?
I was going to say, a lot of my problem, even when they go back to World War II or whatever, is they give you weapons and attachments that weren't around back then, in a sense.
Yeah.
I know why they do it, but it takes away from any realism that they may have when all of a sudden you're using scopes that there was no way they had in 1943 or 1944.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you got a red dot in the center screen when you're scoping and what,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Come
Yeah,
on.
their next World War II iteration will probably have drones.
Yeah.
You just take a Sharpie and you just put the dot right there on the glass. That's how you
There
do it.
go.
Your drones, you got a little kite, little kid running across the battlefield with a little kite. And a little
Oh
thing on
God!
it.
Now you people are making me think about when people used to put crosshairs in the middle of their screen so they could just
Yep,
easily shoot
that was
people.
a big
Yep.
deal back in the day.
Yeah, it was.
That was your way around to get your no glitch headshots all the time. You used to put a little dot right in the middle of it. You got your cheap LCD screen and you tore it up just so you could be better.
Then your parent going ballistic because he realized that you used a Sharpie that would not be wiped off. Holy shit!
No, these are grown men and college students. Trust me, I know.
Oh yeah. But now, hey, Scribner, now the crosshair is built in. All you got to do is just go in and just tap that on your monitor.
That's exactly what it is. As far as Call of Duty, what I would say is the reason a lot of times they go extra future or they go way in the past is because they don't want to piss off any certain countries or get into a hot topic that will cause situations like you're not going to see a Call of Duty right now say, oh, we're going to Afghanistan, or we're going to replay when Americans went to Iraq. So you're not going to see that because it's going to be too sensitive. It's too soon. So what I would like them to do is maybe something like a home front game, which they have done before. Mm-hmm. America is invaded.
That was awesome.
You can use present time. You just have to figure out which country you're going to use as the bad guy. Or you could say somebody took over America from the inside or something. Do something different than, oh, here's future so we can pull out these weird guns, or here, let's go to the past because we can relive World War II over and over again, and we can kind of teach the youngsters what used to happen. Yeah, a lot of times they come with excuses. Oh, well, this is history and blah, blah, blah. No, it didn't. It's just guns and shooting if it's a video game. Nobody's looking at the history aspect. They haven't done a good history aspect unless you were talking about like Medal of Honor way back in the day. They have to do something, but they can do present day. It's just a touchy subject. Right now, They wouldn't come out with the next Call of Duty and Russia is invading countries. They would kind of stray away from that.
Yeah, no doubt. Yes, touchy subject, and we're not going on, and it's not about porn. That laughing, Terry.
Stop touching me. Stop touching me.
All right. Any final thoughts on this particular matter? It's not a really big subject.
I'll chime in a little bit. Because I did fall off of the wagon when it comes to COD. The way that they could bring me back into it is, I don't want to see any more World War I or World War II or Vietnam War stuff. Those wars have been played to death within the shooter space. There's hundreds of games around those wars, and it's just I'm over it. I'm over it. I don't want to see anymore. So they can do anything else. I couldn't care less what they pick as long as it's not those. And then I would really like them to
real
actually.
quick, where have they really done Vietnam a lot?
I was just about to say that.
Black Ops.
There's a lot of Vietnam ones. I think SOCOM
Battlefield.
did it.
Battlefield did
I
it.
think
Yeah,
SOCOM
Battlefield
did it,
3
and a bunch
did
of
it.
others. A bunch of others did it. There's a lot of them.
I mean, comparatively to the other big wars, though, I don't remember seeing.
I think one of the coolest ones was actually by Guerrilla before they were bought by Sony. They did a game called NAM 67. Anyone remember that on the original Xbox?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that was a cool game.
So like, I'm over it. To bring me back into Call of Duty, because I always preferred the campaigns, and then they've really, they've focused more on their multiplayer because that's where most of their fan base plays. Like, I know countless people who buy COD, and when they still did campaign, that would never even launch the campaign, which is a big reason why they don't do campaigns, because no one played it. So I would really like them to, just make them separate,
Right.
Do their multiplayer every freaking year with their updates so they can milk people for money for their stupid gun skin. And then, take some time to make a really good campaign and release one of those like once every 4 years or whatever. And I would be happy. And then I would come back and I would play the campaign version of whatever they make. And I would be happy that way. That's what I would like to. They won't do it, but that's what I would like to see them do.
Activision and Xbox, like I said, listen to your fans. We know Xbox normally does, but Activision, now is the time to listen to your fans. If you want this franchise to thrive, sometimes less is more. So, they're doing well. Warzone's carrying over the ship anyway. So it's like, I think that's almost been a saving grace for them in a sense, because most people are, that's for a lot of new people getting into Call of Duty. That is their Call of Duty. It's Warzone. They don't even really care about the campaign or some of the standard multiplayer modes. You know what I mean? So, I think they can definitely, like I said, take a little bit more time and just make the story stand out and make the games, great again. And I'm going to die on this hill, but I think one of the best campaigns that revolved around a modern era war theme was Medal of Honor from 2010, made by Danger Close and published by EA. It was the return of Medal of Honor, and it was done with those, what do you call them? Those special ops guys or whatever they were, and it was really made with guys who were there. And some of the stories were actually like based on real life experiences that they faced in Afghanistan. And I thought that was one of the most visceral, amazing games. And I got to go pick myself up another copy, because that's one of the few games that's not backwards compatible with the Xbox right now. And I've asked for it to come over, but maybe again, because it's one of those subject matters that hits home for a lot of people. So it was one of those games that really, really opened some eyes. It was a great shooter. Love that one. Yeah, see Prophet in the chat. Medal of Honor 2010 was lit. He knows what's up.
Yep, and I see Prophet mentioned, buying COD for a 4-hour campaign. That's actually one of the last times I bought it was back on the 360 because of that. Because I bought it on release day, was excited to play it, finished it the same night it arrived at my house, and went, okay, this is too short. That was before I got back into any multiplayer. So I was only buying it for the campaign, because I didn't play online, because, even back then, Get Good or You Suck, I didn't need that. So yeah, when I buy a game for a single player campaign, I want at least 10 hours. I would prefer closer to 15. Before I think I got my money's worth, because it was, it was $55. It was like, why did I pay $55 for 5.5 hours of play?
There's one thing I will say about Call of Duty campaigns. They've been, 2 to 4 player co-ops, and they do make good co-op campaigns. I will give them that. You and your friends get together and run through the campaign of the story. Some of the stories haven't been that great, but it's still fun to run through it with your friends. That's the only thing I can say about what's been good about them. And their zombie mode.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Yeah. There you go. All right, well, let's get to the indie spotlight if you're ready to roll that. So let's bring up the indie spotlight here. Cool Cat Terri, we're gonna add this to the stream for you here, and you can take it away.
You have brought
You need to do an
murderers
intro
into
on
our
this one first,
field.
Terri.
What's that?
We
You
need
need to
to
do an
stop
intro
them.
for this. We've already started.
No, just watch it. I'll
Let
talk.
go. They have killed so many of ours.
Look around you. We need them.
How am I to know that they will not stab my men in the back?
How do they know that you will not do the same? Their numbers pale in comparison to yours. And yet they come. These are people fighting for a better life, for their families. Now, they are willing to fight for their city.
All right, so Masquerada Songs and Shadows. Now this game is a gem. I highly recommend anyone who's a fan of RPGs, especially tactical RPGs. This is the game for you. This is definitely one of those little like diamonds that people don't know about. It's fantastic. It has a fantastic story, great music. It's fully voice acted. They even got some star power from like Jennifer Hale, who is one of the most one of the biggest names in voice acting when it comes to female characters. She's in this one, and it's so good. It's made by Witching Hour Studios. It's a single player game. It even has the ability for where you can pause the real time combat and maneuver around. A lot of PC gamers like that kind of tactical RPG play style, so they have that in there. So it's so good. It's set in a Renaissance styled like city of like magic and stuff, and you just all this craziness is going on where you're trying to like protect your city as you're being attacked, and it's such a good game to play. I did a full playthrough of it in like 16 hours. So for those of you who want to play RPGs but you don't have time to invest in a lot of RPGs because most of them are over 40 hours, this one, like I said, full playthrough, 16 hours is all it took me. Fantastic game. This one is retails for $20. You can get it on PlayStation, Xbox, the Switch, your PC. It's on everything. And yes, this one is one that a lot of people have, missed out on. And it's definitely worth playing. It's so good.
And it's co-op, correct?
No, it's single player.
Oh, single player. I didn't catch that. Okay, awesome. It looks pretty cool. You definitely have this interesting motif I've noticed with all your picks. You always pick these really interesting art style games. I noticed they always have a very they either look very distinctive or they have a very certain aesthetic a lot of the time. So you definitely got an eye for art direction. I think
I do. I always compliment whenever I play these games. I always go on about like things that matter to me when I boot up an indie for the first time is how does it look? Does it look different compared to the your plain Jane games? Because how's the music in it? And then just because I'm nitpicky, how are the menu options? Because one of the things that drives me nuts is when I go into like the settings and then they don't have like a volume bar. They just have a volume on or off, and then I get super ticked. I hate it when they do that. I'm like, give me my scroll. I want to adjust my volume, not just turn it on or off. All right. So those are certain things that that will get my attention right away on whether or not I'm going to enjoy the game or not. But it's so good. It's such a great game.
Check it out, Masquerada. Speaking of Masquerada, Cerebral Paul, great mask you're wearing this morning. Is that the old man grumpy look?
Yes. Yeah, I'm working on my as I get older, my resting bitch face gets to be a lot more.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I'm glad Paul can roll with the punches. He's great. All right, so I wanted to get that out of the way this morning because notoriously we bring it in sort of at the halfway point of the show. We're just about there, essentially. And last week we had poor Terry waiting for an eternity to get to the indie spotlight, and she didn't like the topics that much, so she was kind of sitting there like, ding, 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 and says, "Yeah, let's get this one out of the way here." So there you go. All right, let's get into, I guess, sort of one of our big topics of the morning. It's been a highly contested and talked about topic over social media and online. The Elden Ring. I mean, we all knew this was one of the most highly anticipated games to come out in 2022. It is finally here. It is out in the wild. People have been playing it. My timeline is inundated with it, more so than I think almost any game that I can recall in recent history. Maybe the rest of you guys feel the same. A few people on the panel have been playing it. I know Axel, for one, has been. So we might start with him on this one and then go around the circle here. Just a show of hands for everybody because we're all on camera. Who actually owns it and has played it so far? One. Okay, so 5 out of 6 have not owned it or played it. So us frauds cannot speak. We must shut our hole. No, we will talk
some
about
of us have a reason for not playing it.
I resent that fraud statement.
You YouTuber, you can't play Dark Souls through YouTube.
I've seen so much gameplay of it, dude. So I've seen enough for my opinion.
Yeah, Sir X-Man's like, yeah, I've basically finished that game twice now.
I would have no time to play that game, dude. Seriously, I used to have time for time suck games. I don't anymore, man. It just happens as you get older. You know that. All
righty. Well, I mean, no offense for that. I know a few of you will probably pick up the game, and most people will probably play this eventually at some point. I mean, heck, I even gave in and bought some of the past From Software games out of hype and curiosity, I suppose. But the result was always the same. So I guess the topic overall, though, is these massive scores. Let me share the screen with you here because I've never seen a game in recent history with these kind of scores. And I'm just my question is for everyone on the panel, and obviously for Axel, who may have a little bit of difference of opinion from playing it, are they overinflated? And what is the reason for that? So let me just do the old, where the hell is my share screen thing on here? Oh, here we go. Remember what? This damn thing always gets me. Let's bring it up here. Just real quick. This is the Metacritic. And I know how we feel about Metacritic. So I don't want to go off on a wild tangent about Metacritic. I mean, scores ultimately at the end of the day mean very little. They might be a reference guide, perhaps, just to kind of figure out if you're willing to spend $80 on a game, because this game is not in Game Pass or any other service. You must buy it at full price. So before you drop full price, I suppose, it's nice to see scores, just to kind of give yourself an idea if this is something you want to drop down. And you see the user score is 7.6. Metascore after 49 critic reviews is 97. Plus, the other weird thing was almost all of these reviews came from the PlayStation 5 version, which is pretty weird.
Yep.
Overall. Like, you just think there'd be more disparity, but apparently not. But anyway.
That's not weird. It's not weird. No. It's for a reason.
No? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So let me just bounce back screens. I'll pull it up in full view here for everybody. All right. So here we go. 97. And let me read it out. And all it just says a summary: a new world created by Hidetaka Miyazaki. What? You say it.
Miyazaki.
Okay.
Yeah.
Miyazaki. And George R.R. Martin, the guy who created Lord of the Rings, or not Lord of the Rings.
What? Oh, get out. Talk about fraud.
That's Tolkien.
Crap.
That's Tolkien. Yes. The other one, Game of Thrones. There we go. Elden Ring, developer From Software, published by Bandai Namco, fantasy RPG adventure set within a world created by Miyazaki, creator of the influential Dark Souls video game series. And as we expand it, blah, blah, blah. Well, it really doesn't tell you a whole lot right there. But anyway, Axel, just give us your thoughts since you are the first one to play. You should be the first one to come in. Overinflated scores or not, why do you think this game, is it really that good? To me, it's just open world Dark Souls, and that's how a lot of people summarize it. But is there more to it than that? You tell us.
Well, it is open world Dark Souls, and I guess if that's what you take out of it, that's all you get out of it. But it's also the most incredible Dark Souls made. So there is no real waypoint system here. You have the little, I guess campfires is what you guys would know them as, but they call them points of grace now. and the points of grace emanate light, and they point you in the direction where the main story goes. So you kind of always know where you're supposed to go because you have a general direction. But there's a lot of stuff in the way. There's caves to explore. There's hidden rooms to uncover. There's bosses that need their asses kicked. There's and then if you're fortunate enough, you'll discover a legendary dungeon. Right, it has dungeons, and legendary dungeons are essentially a Dark Souls game within a Dark Souls game, but older style, narrow corridor games style dungeons where they have full forts or castles, if you want to call them, inside of them. So it is an open world Dark Souls game, but the dungeons are so much better than any other open world has made them. Like some of these legendary dungeons, as I'm calling them, can be entire games by themselves. So that's fantastic. It also has a really good summoning system, whether you need help or not. It also has these spirits that can come out and help you. It's just fantastic. The controls are a little redone than previous Dark Souls game. And what I mean by the controls, I mean the action times. You know, before you would basically run around with the lightest armor or naked to get the fastest roll, because the sooner you recover from your roll, the sooner you can launch an attack. Because some of these bosses are very fast, so you couldn't spend a lot of time rolling. And also, rolling is timing of itself. You can still get hit at the beginning of your roll and your ending of the roll, but in the middle you can't get hit. So I guess if you want to extend that middle portion, you can, but you also extend the part where you get hit. The weapon variety here is also fantastic. I remember in Dark Souls, the original Dark Souls, you could basically play arcane, and that was basically the game's easy mode because you could kill everything from a distance. No need to get in close, no need to get good at rolling or anything like that. And this one, they close that distance fast, real fast. You can still play arcane, but you're going to have to get good at that rolling. And this Dark Souls game makes me feel exactly like this, or this Elden Ring game makes me feel exactly like this guy. I'm getting my butt kicked. I'm on fire, but I'm not down. I get back up and keep coming. You know? So this is a pretty good poster to show what's inside of me. Jago, I know Jago's not a Dark Souls guy, so I no matter what I would say, I don't think Jago would ever play Dark Souls. As far as this whole game being more accessible and all that other good stuff, it depends how much you love to grind, because you can avoid these bosses and grind a bunch of mobs until you hit level 40 and then come into these bosses and just wreck them. But that's not fun. I mean, to me, I personally hate the grinding aspect of video games. Grinding for XP is what I mean.
Right.
I feel that they're brick walls that kind of shouldn't be there. Like in Dark Souls, the first boss, well, I guess technically the second boss you encounter is the guy horse. He's called a wood guardian or a forest guardian or something like that.
With a big gold shield. See on the videos? Yeah.
Yeah, he is. And I'm like, oh, cool, a boss right away. Oh, man. Talk about being under level. I hit him, and it did nothing. Like, nothing. So he's one of those guys you got to go around, but he's in the way of where you have to go.
Right.
So I think there's a way that the game is kind of pushing, go explore, right? Come back to this guy later. So that's the way you got to go about it. And with any Dark Souls game, the way to make the game easier is not free. You have to kill large mobs to get powerful equipment, or you have to kill an NPC who can help you, but he has a level 7 spear. So do you kill him and get that level 7 spear for yourself, or do you keep his help? I always choose to keep the help, by the way. Because eventually you can summon some of these NPCs. I haven't gotten to that point yet. And also you find other NPCs around that will help give you these spirits. You know, you can get wolves or jellyfish, and that's all I found so far. So I don't know what else you can get. But yeah, and I was kind of hoping this game would play a little more like Sekiro, because in the world of Souls games, I feel that Sekiro was better, as far as fluid combat is concerned, and as far as difficulty, it was more lenient. Not easy, but lenient. But yeah, if you think that this game is going to be good or easier or the most accessible Dark Souls and all that other stuff, sure, but it comes with a lot of caveats. Otherwise, it's a Dark Souls game through and through. You're going to have to get good. You're going to have to die 100 times. You're going to have to lose XP for no reason other than getting backstabbed by someone you didn't see. It still has that Dark Souls cheapness to it, as I like to call it. But I think it's the best Dark Souls yet. I would definitely give it a 95 so far. It does have some frame rate issues, but that's it.
Okay, well said, Axel, and thank you for breaking that down for us, because that's the whole point of this as well. Like, already people are calling this game of the year, and we still have so many more games yet to come, right? And also, I've never seen so many 10s for any game ever across the board. And, people always say, well, 10s are hard to get, and they're, people don't toss them out lightly. And I feel like, to me, it just feels like this game's being reviewed by just hundreds of like Dark Soul fans that just love the thing. And they're just, pitching these super, I mean, I love Halo, but I didn't inflate my score for Halo Infinite. I mean, I would literally give it an 8.2, somewhere in that vicinity. And I love Halo. So I didn't inflate the score by a couple of points for me just because, it's Halo and it's the best iteration I've played in a while. I like this new look for this series, like Elden Ring. I like that it's brighter, and the open world definitely offers some some caveats, some extra ways of playing it, or ways to approach your bosses and enemies instead of being stuck in a dark, dingy corridor, being kind of surrounded. I do like that aspect of it. Like I said, there is that freedom, as Axel mentioned, you don't necessarily have to rush into, you kind of pick your battles, you run away, you go somewhere else, but that also means a lot more trudging, a lot more XP buildups, things like that. And some people, they get off on it. Anybody who's played the Assassin's Creed games and spent hundreds of hours in them would probably be like, yeah, this is great. They basically, even the mag, I was talking to him about it, and he said, yeah, this game doesn't hold your hands. It basically doesn't really tell you what you're doing. You kind of just go and you figure it out on your own. You stumble into things, which is, I guess, part of the lore, but that also can be frustrating for people. For me, I don't like games that really don't have waypoint markers after all. You just pop into the game like, where the hell am I going? What am I doing? What's my purpose here? That sort of thing. Let's bring in our guest, Sir X-Man. I want to get your take on it, Sir X-Man. How about these scores, man? Does this make you want to go down and drop your hard-earned coin on this thing?
No, not really. I've to me, I know I got some heat on GRG, but I got some understanding on GRG too when I was on there Friday talking. To me, the game looks like an Elder Scrolls game. And when they went into the dungeons, I was like, I think they got their inspiration from Elder Scrolls, how they made the tunnels and the environments. I know you don't go to cities or nothing like that in this game. I know you have to quest a lot in the game, but I felt like an upgraded Elder Scrolls, but in a different way for Dark Souls. I explained it like this to people who thought it was an expansion of it was a Dark Souls. How it was an expansion of Dark Souls. I told them, okay, no comparison, two totally different genres. Forza Motorsports, totally different game. Regular racing on regular racetracks.
Mm-hmm.
And they advanced years later to make Forza Horizon, an open world version of Forza with, a lot of Forza physics, but a different type of game that's more immersive because you're in a totally different world. You're searching everywhere for things. That's my premise for explaining Elden Ring. It's a Dark Souls, but they kept most of the formula, but they changed it to an open world version of it where you can go explore. You can go enhance your character to come back and beat this boss. It's the same premise. They're two still totally different games, but they decided to expand their game to make it more accessible to people. Because in Dark Souls, never played it. I just know what everybody says. you can't back up out of a fight. Either you get through it or you die and have to backtrace all the way over again to get all the stuff that you had previous. So in this one, you can escape from what I've seen people do and go back and say, I'm not ready for this boss yet. And then upgrade, like a lot of RPGs now. And that's what makes the difference, which makes it more accessible. Because if you're not ready for it and you feel yourself dying, get out of the fight.
Right.
Go do something else to make yourself more powerful to get through it. I think it's a good premise. It's a good idea. But like I said, graphically, when they went into the tunnels, I was like, hey, wait a minute. That looks like a Skyrim tunnel.
Right.
Yeah. And I'm not really freaking out about the score, but I think it's a little bit too early to have a score that high without a lot of people playing it.
Do you think, do you think perhaps there's a little bit of an incentive to try to push this game on the mainstream? Because if there's one thing that I've seen through social media in the last few days, I've actually seen a lot more people who aren't Souls fans per se kind of jumping on the bandwagon. It's kind of like they see these scores and they go, well, the game is this good or it's getting this much praise. Perhaps I will jump in. And I can see myself doing it. Like, I was almost tempted to go, yeah, maybe I'll buy this game myself. Really tempted. But then I pull myself back and go, well, let me see. I tried Bloodborne, didn't work. I tried Sekiro, which was an improvement, but didn't work. So I'm like, do I really want to go in for that third kick in the nuts, thinking that somehow this game is going to miraculously change my opinion of these games, which I've never said ever anywhere. You will never get me saying that these games are bad. I've never said that. I think they're amazing games. I think that's the frustrating part is they're amazing games that I really want to play, but I don't. And the key is it's not the skill. I don't have the patience because the key denominator that I see with most of these games is that a lot of us are all fairly skilled. Like, we know how to play video games. We've been doing it a long time. We know the parry. We know how to dodge. It's about the patience. It's about the mental focus that it takes to beat these and do these games because, again, they will beat you down. And you got to be one of those people that's like, I'm going to go back. I'm going to go back. But I'm one of those guys that's like, you know what? 15, 20 minutes of fighting the same bloody boss and getting killed with the same cheap tactics,
We've been there before.
Yeah. I'm just like, man, no, I'm out. I'm sorry. Just don't have the patience. I got my time is very important to me. It's more valuable than my money. And I only got so much time to play so many games, and I don't want to be, but anyway, I don't want to get off of my channel. I'll save my rant. But do you think that some of that score is inflated to essentially pitch this game to the mainstream to sell more copies, to perhaps, you know what, maybe they do get an extra 10,000 fans out of this because of that really big score that everybody, the curiosity factor brings them in?
Well, I think what it is, they actually did make the game a little bit more accessible for people that don't like Dark Souls. Because, like I said, in Dark Souls, when you get to the boss, you have to get through it or you have to backtrack way, 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 way back. But in this one, you have a chance to escape, go level up, go level up, go level up, go level up, and then come back to that same boss ready to try to take him down. That was not really an exception in Dark Souls. You had to take it for what it was. This one, they give you an opportunity to at least try and go through it. And I think that's going to be the appeal of the game, that, it's Dark Souls, but it doesn't look as hard as Dark Souls. And I'm here, it's not as hard as Dark Souls, and I think that's the sell of the game. But I still think I still think the score is overrated. I think it's inflated. I don't know why, but it is just like a stock that goes up for no apparent reason.
Right.
It just gets inflated and people follow trends, man. It's just what they do.
I can speak to some of the inflation when it's my turn.
Well, you can have at it right now. Paul, why don't you take it away? All right, Sir X-Men's articulated. We got Axel's point of view. Let's get you in here, Paul. Then we'll get Scrub and Cool Cat Terri. Go ahead, Paul.
So yesterday, actually, pretty much by not by design, even took a day off of gaming and listened to a lot of podcasts. One of them was Game On Daily. I think Noof, you may have been in there for part of that. Not on the show, but in the chat.
Right.
And Asa brought up a point that a lot of these high scores appear to be from guys that are Souls fans that love the genre, love the game, and so we're not there's not a lot of differing voices coming in at this point, which would explain some of the high scores. Some of them apparently were even willing to overlook some very nasty issues with the game, especially on PC, where you're watching the guy stream who gave it 10s across the board, and the game actually freezes for like 10 seconds in the middle of a fight, and he admits in his stream that yeah, it does this every once in a while. Okay, if it does that every once in a while, it probably shouldn't be getting a 10. You know, so they're willing to overlook some pretty serious issues that for any other game would have been like, oh, this is we need to drop this down a point or two because it's not working right. And I mean, they've even come out and said they know that there's problems on PC and Xbox, and they're working on them. Then it really shouldn't be getting 10s. I'm of the, like some of the people in the chat, I'm of the view that almost no game should get a 10. Everything can be made better. And I even mentioned, I tweeted that and somebody said, well, some games deserve a 10 because they're just that good. I said, yeah, but if a game gets a 10, it should be few and far between. It should be the exception, not the norm. You should almost never see a 10, just like really you should never see a 1. You know, there's got to be some saving grace, except for maybe like E.T., but that's the exception, not the rule.
That's a negative 10 there.
Yeah. So yeah, I think the scores are inflated. I think it will drive up people's interest, which is good. They may get some fans they didn't have before, but like I said, especially on PC right now, if people come by it, oh, look at the great scores, they need to realize that they may run into some issues. And some of those reviews need to be honest in their review and not just say how great it looks in this. They need to talk about the playability and the functionality. I'm not bashing the game in any sense. I've watched Ains play it for a few hours. It looks incredible. I really wish I could play it. I can't risk spending $60 on a game that I know that I'm probably not even going to get past the first boss on. Because I would have to do the part that Axel hates, is I would have to go grind to get up to a point where I'm like 23 levels above the guy, and even then still have trouble with it.
Mm-hmm.
And I've done a lot of, I have to do that even in games like Assassin's Creed. And sometimes I don't mind it if it keeps me busy enough to where I'm grinding but I'm having fun. That's cool, because then I will go back and kick somebody's ass who kicked my ass earlier. So I'm used to having the game like that, even in a quote easy game. So I don't have as much problem with it as some people do. But yeah, I think the reviews are overinflated. They need to be honest reviews. I also think that a lot of these people that only played it for like 10 hours and gave it 10s, they barely touched the game.
Yeah.
They really need to and they talked about this yesterday. Some of the professionals and stuff, they have deadlines and stuff they have to meet, but they really shouldn't call it a final review. It should be a review in progress, or so far. Here's my impression.
Give me your take on this, Paul, and I want the other people on the panel who hasn't spoken yet to maybe come in on this. Okay, another big game launched this month, right? Horizon Forbidden West, which in every sense of the word is a better game than its predecessor. Now, its predecessor scored very high, but I think its predecessor ended up with an 87, 88 Metacritic and went on to win, various Game of the Year in certain circles anyway. The second game comes out, basically does everything better. Not only looks better, but runs better. Everything about the game was better than its sequel or its predecessor, but yet that didn't get all these 10s across the board. That didn't get, I know there's some people crying foul. Oh, well, now the media's biased and but to me, it's just like, so that game is better, but still has trouble attaining the higher scores. And yet, but yet it's this Elden Ring comes out and just blowing away with 10s like across the board. It's like I don't know, that to me it just seems weird that Horizon Forbidden West basically scoring the same, if not lower in some places, than the game that it's much better than. And to me, that game looks like it does a lot more than Elden Ring does for the series.
Yeah, that's a whole interesting another conversation too, because a lot of people are crying foul that basically Horizon Forbidden West is being thrown to the wayside for Elden Ring, and part of it is release timing. Who the hell thought to release these two games within a week of each other? Yeah, was a good idea. You
Mhm.
know, because
Battlefield and Halo.
yeah,
Oh yeah.
yeah, and Battlefield blaming Halo for their poor numbers. Yeah, good luck
Yeah,
with that.
another topic.
Yeah.
uh, but yeah, if so, I mean, both games are beautiful in their own
Yeah.
right. But but Horizon Forbidden West is going to get lost in the noise of all this, especially when it comes to Game of the Year talk now, because
Mhm.
everybody's going to look back and go, but look at what Elden Ring did. You know, so I kind of do understand some of the complaining there, but a lot of that is on the game developers and all that who decided to release these games back to back. Um, so yeah, it is kind of weird. I think they're both good and they're both right. I think I trust Horizon Forbidden West numbers more than I trust Elden Ring's numbers right now.
Right.
There's only a few games that I knew that got perfect 10s. One of them is one of my favorite games. Don't trip. You know I love this game. Burnout 3 Takedown, and there was one more in the 2010 era and stuff like that that got one. I can't remember, but I know the game that was
Yeah.
deserving of a perfect 10. There was no, I feel games that have no flaws, no issues, runs perfectly. The story and the narrative are absorbing, and and it makes you cry for more of it. Those are the games that deserve a perfect 10, not just from people that played it 10, 20
But that's
hours.
just it. It's like the media now has gotten to this point of picking and choosing, because some games it's like they're overlooking the flaws and other games literally get crucified. Cyberpunk for one. Now
Yeah, definitely.
I'm not making excuses for Cyberpunk. I had an ordinary amount of flaws, right? But fundamentally, the game was still good. If you had a Series X, you could still play it and enjoy it, and it wasn't that much different. It looks and plays a lot better now, but that game was largely crucified on bugs. And there's other cases very similar where the media just like, it feels like they're taking off 5 or 6 points for the bugs. And this game is kind of getting a little bit more of that pass treatment, like, oh well, it's got some really bad frame rate issues here and there or whatever, but who cares, that sort of thing. So
I felt Star Wars Fallen Order deserved a higher ranking than what it did, because that was a great game. No flaws. And it's from
should have
EA.
been in the run.
No flaws.
It should have been in the running for Game of the Year. It really should have.
I ran into lots of flaws in that game, personally.
You did? Really?
I did. I was not happy.
I did not run into any flaws in it.
Yeah. I did not have a good copy, I guess.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It was timing. It messed it up. It couldn't make the year it was in for the Game Awards. So when you go around the next year, it gets overshadowed by so many other games.
Yeah.
So Axel, let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question, because I saw your comment in chat. So knowing that the game has some of these functionality flaws on some of the other platforms, do you still think it deserves a 10? Knowing that,
well, I haven't played enough of it to tell you it deserves a 10, but this expectation of perfection, let's go with that, right? Well, if I define a perfect game is different than if you define a perfect game, right? So this is why these sites should, like, I remember old EGM, right? I always keep going back to EGM because I used to love them. They would define what a game needs to accomplish to get this score, get that score, so forth and so on. It was their standard, and that standard has not moved on to an industry standard, right? So to me, a reviewer giving a 10, especially if they come from a reputable place like IGN, they probably had to checkmark everything on there. For open world games and more into 3D games, let's just go 3D games. It is just difficult to make a completely bugless game. So it comes to, does the bug affect the gameplay? So the bug that everybody's talking about is frames, right? Oh, it's sub 60 or whatever, right? but it's not 20. You know, like.
But if the game is actually stuttering and stopping, and it's a game where fluid movement is important, I would think that would be an important issue to bring up.
But as long
It
as it
would be,
doesn't
but I
affect
haven't
the fight,
experienced that at all. As a matter of fact, I don't have VRR on my TV, so I see the frames when they come down, right? And at that, they're not terrible. Like, I don't know how people play, how their vision is, how their perception is, but like losing 2 or 3 frames here and there is, I mean, you have to be watching these things seriously, because sometimes all I'm doing is spamming the dodge button, so I don't really care what the frames are. Thanks, Doof.
but Jesus, my thing is, I don't, even if I do look at a critic score, I look at like the one guy from IGN that I always talk about, Thai guy Travis. I know him from Seasoned Gaming. He I trust because I know he won't fully review a game until he completes the game, at least the main storyline. We're not talking about 100% in the game. We're just talking about getting through the game. Seeing the end game. We're not talking about doing 100% of everything.
Right.
So him I trust, and I know I know his process. But for the most part, if I do look at Metacritic, I don't even look at the user scores, because those are the ones that I expect those professionals to do a professional job, and I'm not seeing that here.
I am also in the camp with you that if you're going to review a game, you should finish it.
Yeah.
Right. And I know Metacritic, everybody's rushing to be first, but Metacritic allows scores to be submitted up to 2 weeks after the game is released. So that's the first thing. And second thing, I think Metacritic allows too many voices. There are some people, like when I'm reading the reviews of where they come from, right? I'm looking at some of them like, why is this person allowed to review that? Like, I'm going to use IGN, right? IGN has like 10 votes in Metacritic, because you got IGN US, IGN Italy, IGN Australia, IGN here, IGN over there, IGN Japan. It should just be IGN, in my opinion.
Right.
That should submit it. But again, I agree with you in the sense that people should finish the game, because a bad ending can ruin a good game. Mass Effect 3, perfect example.
Perfect example for me is Assassin's Creed 2. I can get all the way to the end of the game. I cannot beat the end boss, which means for me, that game was great up until that end part that I cannot get past. So
I've been there.
As great as that game is, I could never give it a really, really high score because I can't finish the last guy.
Okay, let's bring in the smooth talking opinions of Mrs. Scrubner Scrub, and then we'll get Cool Cat Terri to lay it out for us. Scrubs, how do you feel about the opinionated excessive scores for this game? Do you think people are on point, or do you think there is a little bit of a, let's give it a few extra points here, maybe sell this game to the mainstream, or make sure that this game basically wins the game of the year? Because when there's that many bullseyes, it's hard to not to hit the mark, right?
No, that's definitely it. You do have a problem. This is what I'm going to say. It's not a problem, but this is the situation. It happens when you're watching movies in the Academy Awards. Everybody goes, "Oh, I love this movie. I love this movie. I love this movie." And then some indie movie wins best movie of the year, and you go, "What? I didn't see this movie. Oh, I didn't." But the people who are doing the voting, who go, "Oh, this person, this director is an auteur. This is what movies are about. We don't believe that a Marvel movie is beneath us, or this funny slapstick comedy is beneath what true movies are," kind of thing. So when you are reviewing a game that is very difficult, that is very punishing, and might take you long time and frustrating, you do not get the person who loves to play Pokemon to review this game if they don't have the skill and the level to do it. Guess who you usually get to review the game? The people who already love this grind. If we had Good Morning Xbox review crew, we would not get Cool Cat Terri to review Halo Infinite. She's not a fan of it. She doesn't play play the games as far as it. So even if she played all the way through it, she will not get the same. You will not get the same score as Axel, who loves Halo, who's just a Halo fanboy. I mean, he's critical, yes, but I guarantee you their score will not be the same. It probably won't be the close to it.
Axel
So
fell in love with Craig. That's all it was.
exactly. So I think what you're having here, I've heard other podcasters say it as well. Hey, go get Joey in the back room who loves Dark Souls and get him review it. So you get the Dark Souls guy who just loves it to death. That's all he plays. He's going to eat this game up. Problems be damned, perfect game or not, he's going to eat this game up and he's going to have a better review than somebody like me who's not a fan of it, who will play it, get frustrated, and even if I played through the game, give you all the critiques of the mechanics and everything, but because I don't like the grind or I get frustrated with getting killed a lot, I'm not going to give it a 9 or 10. Also, when we were talking about earlier, Noof, how you mentioned there's a lot of PlayStation 5 reviews on it. There's been Dark Soul games who have been exclusive or have been the marketing rights on what console? PlayStation. So you're going to have people who are buying consoles for what was that Dark Souls remaster. You're going to have these folks who've been playing it on PlayStation all this time. So of course you're going to have more of these on the PlayStation 5. As far as the reviews, like I said, I'm not saying that they're fanboys, but they're already having people who are in love with these games. You're going to get a high score. But at the same time, don't deter you from playing it. This is one of the instances where I say all the time where I'm good with it. I say, if you love a certain style of game, go watch or go see the reviews of the people who love this game, and they will tell you if it's good or not. If I love playing Call of Duty, you might come see, what do you think about the mechanics of this, and this? If there's a hot new indie game that comes out, you might go, oh, let me see what Terri thinks about this, because that's where she loves to be in. Oh, it's a JRPG. I want to see what Shaddai thinks about this game, and this is one of them. The people who love Dark Souls, who really love Dark Souls, everybody's been coming out and saying Dark Souls is great.
Right.
I think this is also.
I think there's a balancing act, though. I think
There is.
You shouldn't just review the games that you love. And you shouldn't just look at the people who review the games that they love because they're a little one-sided. They can be, and I think it's important. Like with movie reviewers, they don't just get them just to review the types of movies they like. At least they didn't used to when it was a thing.
Yeah, but they get movies.
I think
they get movies through the whole year, and they don't get to see every movie. So guess what they do? They pick the movies that they really want to watch, and then they watch other ones as they go. So that still does happen.
Okay, in the old days, like Siskel and Ebert, that wasn't necessarily true.
Are we in the old days now, though?
But
we're not.
Okay. Listen to what I'm saying. Listen to what I'm saying. Sometimes having somebody go through a game and play it who isn't necessarily a big fan but enjoys gaming would be an important review as well. Here's what I like.
I agree.
What I didn't like.
I agree wholeheartedly. But as I stated earlier, this is one of those few games where most people, if they're not in the trenches loving this game, they shy away from it. Mm-hmm. So this is why you're getting a chance where these scores are a lot higher than some people would think, because most of the people reviewing this game are the people who love this style of gaming.
Right, but
that's why I'm saying it's more skewed.
But if I want more of a bigger picture of, say, Call of Duty, I may go beyond you because I want somebody who kind of just. Well,
I'm not talking about you as a person who is buying the game. I'm talking only strictly from a reviewer standpoint. Why some of these reviews are skewed this high. I'm not saying what it should be. I'm saying what is possibly why it is this.
Hey, okay. Paul, it's like when my son, my older stepson, he's played every Dark Soul from the 360 and the remakes. So he knows what kind of games that I like. So he'll tell me, now, Dad, Dark Souls is too hard for you. I know your style of game. But if I ask him what does he think of Elden Ring, which I know he has, I can see him on Xbox playing it. He'll tell me if he thinks I can handle the game. You need someone that's played the other game and thinks about the rest of the community out there that's never played a Dark Soul and give your objective opinion outside of the box, your box, do you think everyone else might be able to get into this version of Dark Souls? And that would appeal to people that like open world, but people that want a little bit of the challenge that's not so inaccessible like Dark Souls.
My thing is, I'm also saying I've seen some quote reviews or comments on people who said they wouldn't have normally tried this, but they did and they're loving it. That they're
right. That was my next point. That was my next point that I was getting to. This game is more accessible. You have more save points. I know that's not the correct terminology, but you have these more points where you go to rest. You have the ability to move around, to avoid person, to level up. I know plenty of people who wouldn't play this game normally, who got into it, who are enjoying the combat, who are loving the fight, and they are pushing it and saying, hey, try this out. That's why I can see this is a little better game. I was very intrigued by the game, especially when they threw and there's ability to co-op. But as far as co-op, it's a lot different than a regular co-op game. You have to have these potions. You have to have the ability to pull these people in. You have to have
difficulty level higher.
Right. You have to have stuff in your pouches, and then you have to summon. They have to accept the summon. You guys go in and play. And then, but if you die or one of the person who has summoned the guy and dies, you are kicked out. And then you lose that summon potion. So if you don't have a second one, you can't bring another person in. So
like a Final Fantasy.
It is not like it's Division 2 and you guys are just walking through together, holding hands and fighting through this game. So even on that aspect, it's not exactly what you need, but it has aspects to bring other people in. It's just not my game, but I will not say Axel or anybody else's is when they're saying all these 9s. When I hear 9s, I hear in the chat 9.5s or this is telling me that they really hit a button with their fans and they did a great job, even without the problems with the stutter, frame rate, or different things messing up with PCs and all that stuff. They hit a niche, and for those people, yes, it's not. When you look at the whole gamut of is this the game of the year, I doubt it is, but I think it has to be said something. This many people are saying how great the game is. I don't think it's all FUD. Some of it is they're just pushing the game that they love more than anything in the world, but that's because you're seeing those are the loudest people because that's who are mostly playing this game. There are not quote unquote noobs jumping in straight into this game.
Well, that's fine and dandy, but I'm going to make a point here from the accessibility to make, hopefully that brings a little bit of a spotlight on things here. Because sometimes I know where Paul is coming from on some of these games. It's like, let's just take superhero movies, for example, right? So let's just say a new superhero movie is coming out. You're Batman. A big fan. Paul wants to watch it. You want to watch it. That's great. We're all a superhero fan. But let's just say like Disney decides to go, well, we got the latest Marvel film, but we're only going to put it in theaters. And guess what? We're only going to put it in theaters that don't have wheelchair accessibility. Okay? That's kind of where Paul is. All right? That's kind of where he's at because, he wants to play it. I can tell he wants to play it, but he knows that with his disability, his ailments, that he just, no matter how hard he tries or wants to get good, it's just not going to happen for him. So you see what I'm saying? Like you're denying him the enjoyment of a game because he wants to play the story and he wants to get into that. And I'm not going to try to talk for him because he can talk about it himself and he could probably take this whole podcast over. But I wanted to put it in a point where the average person could try to see it from his view. That's the thing. Unless you're in his shoes, people can't. and they kind of shit on them for it, and it's really not cool. Like personally, because I'm the same thing. I mean, I even said, why don't you? There's two things that could help this game for me. One, adaptive AI, so it knows when you're really struggling. It changes, and maybe even make it a mode at the menu, so the really hardcore Dark Souls people can play it the way they want to play it. But there's also that way to play it for people that have issues, or even say the save anywhere function, so you don't have the one thing that turned me immediately off of Bloodborne was going to that first city and dying and having to start way back and beat these people again, respawning enemies, all that sort of stuff. This is like, man, I'm out.
Yeah.
It's not only bad enough that the game is hard,
from
but
what
it's
I've
cheap.
seen, the campfires really help, or whatever they're called. I don't know what they're called. I know they're not campfires, but everybody kind of knows what those are. They're very widespread now. It's
Yes.
a lot. They're a lot better laid out as far as that goes.
Making it more
So
accessible.
I give them credit for that. I really do.
Hey, I do have one point to bring out, since Cool Cat Terri has mentioned it, Sir X-Man has mentioned it, and this game has been brought up. Yes, we do not like this Souls type game, but Jedi Fallen Order had some of these same exact setups in here. You had your res points. When you did your res points, all the enemies came right back, and everybody went, "This game is amazing." But you know what was the difference? It was just a little bit easier than a Dark Souls game, but it had the same stuff in it.
Oh yeah, it was hard on certain levels. Oh my god!
It was definitely hard.
There were some points where.
That's what I'm saying. All it did was you dropped the difficulty down a little bit from a Souls game, but Jedi Fallen Order had the same stuff in it, and I think.
And I hate it.
Some of the times I'm thrown, the biggest names are thrown at me is when I say that games like this could do with a difficulty setting or some adaptive stuff. Because no, Souls games should never have that. They should never have an easy. They should never have difficulty sliders. They should never have adjustments, because that's not what they are. And if you can't do it the way it is, you should just go watch it on YouTube. You want to go look at my feed and see that I've been told that?
Well, all they're trying to do is
that's insulting to me.
I understand where they're coming from. Excuse me, Paul, but the games we played back then, that's how they were. So
I know, and I couldn't play a lot of those games. And
I understand. Right. I understand your point, but they're trying to. I hate to say this. I know it's a new day and age, but they're trying to show people in a new generation how games were back then.
No, a lot of those people that are saying that are the new generation.
No grace.
A lot of people saying that are the new generation.
And I love you, my friend, but sometimes they're just catering to people, like back then where I like that challenge and accept that challenge. I know technology has gotten better, and they should think about, people like you, my friend, but a lot of them ain't thinking about that. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? They're thinking about
leaving out
the mess. They're leaving out other people.
No, literally millions of other people, not just a few of us. There are millions of disabled gamers who cannot play this game.
And there are games out there that have that ability to work with you, though. There are games that have accessibility.
But the point that doesn't. You know what? The whole there are other games is bullcrap. Okay, there are other games you can play. So what? There's no reason I shouldn't.
That's not what I'm saying, Paul. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying they should implement something like that for gamers like you. People like me, I'll take it for what it is. But people like you need, I'm not saying you need help, but you need the ability to play the game and enjoy it like everyone else out there.
And there's the other one. Not all games are for all gamers. You know what? That's fine. But if it's something that they can adjust and they can make it playable and more accessible, they should do it. I'm not saying put God mode in fighting games, because multiplayer fighting games, because that's out of place. I'm saying make it so more of us can. We look at it. We really want to play it, but we know we can't. And in a way, we feel left out. And me personally, as a 55-year-old person who's been disabled all his life, I'm tired of sitting on the sidelines. I'm tired of feeling left out, especially when you can make adjustments so that I can join you. I don't get it. It's stubborn, it's stupid, it's gatekeeping, and it needs to stop.
I mean, yeah, what if Halo came out with something like that? They made Halo all of a sudden super difficult and he couldn't join in or play it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that would not be cool.
That would not be cool. So yeah, I totally I do understand the other side of the fence, and I understand how the Souls fans really feel it sort of demeans, I guess, their achievements to a sense. But again, if they keep the option to play it the regular way, I don't understand how that would be an issue. They're just going to play it that way. They're going to beat it. Maybe you get an extra trophy. I think at the end of the day, I don't think Paul gives a rat's dink if he gets a trophy or an achievement award for playing through the game.
He just wants the experience. He just wants the experience that everyone else can have.
You've most of you have played Halo with me and Call of Duty or whatever. You know that I'm never going to get 30, 40, 50 kills like you. I'm happy if I get 5, but I can still play it with you and enjoy it. I can't even do that with this, Yeah.
But anyway, that's a topic. Like I said, we could spend a whole podcast. We got to get Cool Cat Terri's thoughts in here on the scores and Elden Ring in particular. I don't know, Cool Cat Terri, you said, I think it was off the air, you told us your kind of take on the Souls sort of games. How do you feel about this one? I mean, does it impress you at all? What's your take on the scores, and does it make you even want to go out and play this one? I don't know.
Okay, so first, before I go into the scores, I do not want to play it. I did, we've talked about this game in the past, and I said I was open to it. I was keeping an eye on it because they kept on advertising it as a game that was going to be, if you're not a Souls fan, you can possibly get into this one. They're going to have co-op, yada yada. I'm like, okay, I'll keep my eye on it. But if it plays like Dark Souls, I want nothing to do with it. They're like, no, this isn't going to be like that. It's not going to be like that. And then, lo and behold, it is exactly like that. Yeah, they may have put a little extra little things in there, for, like checkpoints or whatever. But it's still the same. It's still the same game, essentially, gameplay-wise. You're still going to have the same struggles. It's not for me. And then for a game that they kept pushing the marketing to try to get people in for the co-op aspect, I've only seen one person actually use the dang co-op feature. So like it's just I don't know. I feel like they're definitely were trying to market to a different gamer to increase their fan base, but they're not the ones playing it. Like I'm a co-op gamer. I will go on my way to find a co-op game, but I'm not going to play that game. Even though they added co-op in it, it's still not my game. So I'm not going to play it. Having a buddy suffer with me is not going to make that game more enjoyable. It's not. It's not. We're both going to be frustrated, and then we're probably going to be fighting with each other. And I don't want to do that. I don't want to be fighting with my buddy because the game is, frustrating. I don't want to do that. That's not a good time. So no, I don't want to do that. And I don't know. It definitely for me seems like a miss because they were really pushing this co-op, and everyone I'm seeing is doing it single player anyway. So that was just a wasted opportunity for them to throw that in there because no one's using it. And then. It's just, and then when it comes to,
do you think maybe the co-op people don't want to play co-op because they either just don't like playing co-op games, or do you think perhaps it's going to demean their accomplishments, having a friend help them beat them?
It has nothing to do with the co-op. There's going to be two sides of that coin. Like me, I'm a co-op gamer. Like I said, I don't want to play it because I want to have fun playing with my friend. I don't want to be fighting with my friend, which is what that game is going to encourage, is fighting with your friend. I don't want to do that. And there is the toxic side when it comes to the From Software games, the whole get good crowd. A lot of them will look down and, oh, well, you didn't beat that game. You had someone carry you the whole way through it, so you're going to have that too. So it's going to be hit or miss with that. So, but I think in the grand scheme, the majority of the people who are playing it are hardcore From Software fans. They know what they like and they're used to playing those games solo. So they're playing it solo, and that makes sense. That's their audience that they have, regardless of how they're trying to bring others in. How they're trying to bring others in isn't working because those people aren't buying what they're selling.
This is almost as bad as the people though that play Halo and say, "Well, the only way to play Halo and beat it properly is on Legendary. If you don't do it like that, you're a scrub." No, you know what I got to say to you on that is a big F you, buddy. Get back in your hole. Don't even come at me with that crap.
I've heard that too. And then when it comes to those kind of games, I played the first Dark Souls. It wasn't for me. I had no interest in 2 or 3. Then I played Sekiro. Sekiro was the first From Software game I actually got to the ending on, and then I sit back and I look at it. And I'm like, why did I even waste my time? Because I hated it the whole time. I literally got to the end for one reason, and that's because of a bet. I had a buddy say, bet me that that he could beat the game before me. And it's the only reason why I played it. I freaking hated that game. The entire time I played through, I had no fun at all. I got to the end before him, and I didn't feel I didn't even feel good about beating him in the bed either. Like I was just like, this was the worst time of my life. I had no fun. I hated it. It wasn't even worth like the $50. I was like, this was, it was just, I can't get that time back, man. The $50 wasn't worth it. It was the worst experience of my life. So that's that. But then when it comes to scores, I definitely
you've been holding this in.
Go in, Terry. Go in.
We will all agree that everyone is going to have their different take when it comes to scores. Metacritic matters. Metacritic doesn't matter. They're super biased. They're not biased. This or that, or the other. Everyone's going to have their own take on that. My take is, for me, I never look at a score to determine whether or not I want to play a game. If the game has my interest, I'm going to try it myself and form my own opinion. No person giving it a 10 out of 10 is going to make me play that game. It's not going to happen. I know what I like, and I'm going to try it, and if I like it, I like it. If I don't, I don't. There's been countless games I played that have scored high that I've hated, and countless games I played that I loved that scored low. So I don't give a crap about the score. However, I do know that when it comes to these scores, they're all opinion. They really are. Axel, basically hit that nail on the head with how they used to follow like check boxes for does this happen? Does this happen? Does this happen? And that's where you put points in for that to get your score. They don't do that anymore. All right. They literally will go in and they'll play the game. If they like it, they love it, and it's mostly they do some scoring to see what box they can check, but most of the stuff that they're doing is 100% opinion. So it means nothing.
It's emotion based these days.
It
feels like it.
Yes. So it means nothing. And these score, and that's why we see these things where, like you guys know, I'm a big Ubisoft fan. And I will, even though I love Ubisoft, I cannot sit here and be like, those games are flawless, this or that and the other. And they definitely, they all come with bugs. And I accept the bugs they have because I already know what kind of bugs to expect when it comes to a Ubisoft game, because they tend to keep the same ones. It's like they're like, oh, these bugs are what makes us us. We're not going to get rid of them. So the fans now accept those bugs because we've had it for so long. So it's one of these things where you'll see games, like Elden Ring, which has a lot of performance issues and things happening, and Bandai Namco had to even come out of the woodwork and be like, we apologize for all these issues. But you don't hear about these issues when it comes to these review scores. It's like if the publisher is apologizing, but no one even cares, it's like, why are they apologizing? No one cares. You're getting a free pass already, so I don't even know why you're apologizing. It just makes no sense. And then you'll go and get, other games, that will just get completely crucified for issues. And there's no balance there. And there should be, and that's why they really should have a scoring system. So that way you don't have this biasness. Well, because we all know there are certain developers that will get free passes. Capcom, Naughty Dog.
They've been hitting on Capcom lately.
Capcom, Naughty Dog, From Software. There's certain studios that no matter they can't do no wrong. They can't do no wrong. They'll get free passes no matter what. I've played Last of Us. It's Last of Us, is a good game. That game also had a lot of issues. but you cannot for the life of you come out and say, well, this game was a buggy mess, because you'll get, completely, chastised by everybody in the universe if you speak bad about Naughty Dog or Uncharted, which is also a very flawed game, but you can't talk bad about Naughty Dog because they're gods among men. They can't be touched, and then you'll go and you'll get Ubisoft. A Ubisoft game, could possibly come out with the exact same bugs as Naughty Dog.
Preach on, Terry.
They're the ones. Let's take the pitchforks to Ubisoft, but let's go and praise Naughty Dog for doing the same damn thing.
Testify.
It drives me nuts. I hate it. I hate the scores. They're definitely inflated for Elden Ring. That game has a lot of freaking performance issues, and I can get behind bugs that aren't game breaking. Fine. That's fine. Elden Ring has game-breaking bugs. All right, you literally have black screens happening when you can't see what's happening. You're just black screen of death. That's game-breaking. Come on, and then or your character freezes in the midair, and then a boss comes in and kills you. That's a game-breaking bug. All right.
I want to experience some of these. If I'm being honest, I haven't seen any of these.
Yeah, so come on.
I've been watching your show for a while, and I've never seen her go off like that, dude.
Those are the dark
you missed some
a
couple.
Wow.
So Elden Ring is definitely overly biased when it comes to it, because like Scrub said, it's the people who are fans of those style that are going to are the ones rating it, and they're going to overlook these things. And
this whole panel makes me feel like this guy right here. Just say,
yeah,
that's one of the bugs in the game.
Getting a Dark Souls beat down from his panel members.
Jesus, man, you guys are a boss. Each one of you is a boss.
Cool Cat's point.
Axel, level up next time. Axel,
the game gotta get good on this panel.
The game looks good, but it's not graphically groundbreaking.
Yeah.
So, and a lot of times they've been talking about these graphically groundbreaking games as this, but they're not talking about that, and none of these reviews or nothing like that. And most of the time these reviews always throw that in there. This is the part that surprises me the most, because like I said, it looks like an upgraded Elder Scrolls. It really does. I know the game may be great because Axel's loving it, but that's how I'm feeling about the game. And we all have seen better graphically looking games that never get that type of respect.
Game about gameplay.
Yeah.
Period.
But it's supposed to be. Yeah. But how often do you see that it never is? Like it takes two, right? Mm-hmm. It won, came out of nowhere. I didn't expect that game to win Game of the Year.
Right.
And it's not graphically groundbreaking. The game looks good, looks like fun, but I just still don't understand.
Right.
When you had better games in the nomination.
Better
graphically
to me, in the last couple of years, the closest I've come out since Rise of the Tomb Raider, the closest I've come to giving any game a 10 would probably be The Last of Us 2. And you know why I'm going to say that? And some people hated it.
Amazing.
Some people trashed it, right? They couldn't handle it, couldn't accept it. I loved it. You know what bigger reason I loved it? Because it did everything that the first game did well, only better. And the fact, they took a huge risk. They killed Joel. Okay, spoiler alert if you haven't played it, but they killed Joel. A girl, and that's people didn't like it because she killed him, and then she became a playable character. And honestly, it screwed me up too when I started. But I was like, man, the risk that those guys took by doing that was nuts. That's the kind of shit that makes me stand up and notice when a developer is going to throw story arcs in a game that legitimately make you stop, think, and reevaluate how you feel about a franchise.
That's
you
what I was saying earlier.
Holy mother of God. And then I actually, believe it or not, I enjoyed playing the other girl, Abby. I actually started not liking Ellie. I was like, this little Ellie is a brat little piece of shit, but they both went through the same crap. That's the kind of stuff that makes you stand up. That's the kind of stuff when a reviewer goes, man, there's closer to a 10, I can get on board with. But when you basically make the same cookie cutter copy and paste, now it's open world though, it's amazing. Come on, dude, we've been doing open worlds for what? For how long?
Test Drive Unlimited.
Purpose. I don't know. That's just my take. Sorry to get off the roll here.
It's all good.
Plus Last of Us 2 had more cutscenes, so then it made it
Oh.
more great too.
No,
I've long
No.
thought about. I'm going to circle back around to this accessibility. I've long thought about since Paul and I first discussed Souls-like games. When I was saying everybody get good, and then Paul, as you said, even if he wanted to get good, he can't. And I've long thought about that. How can From Software make Elden Ring accessible while still being a Souls game? And the idea finally came to me when Forza Horizon did it, and that was to add auto functions to it. Like, if you got a free dodge roll, a perfectly timed free dodge roll in these games, it would make it so much better and more accessible where you don't have to tune the difficulty. Because if you're automatically dodge rolling, that's half of the game, if you will, half of the combat. And for those of us, who don't want that, we can just turn that feature off. Now, of course, people like Paul will still have to be careful where they dodge roll into. You don't want to dodge roll off of the edge or something like that. But I think just adding an automatic dodge roll function would add so much accessibility to
put a dodge roll on the right stick.
People like Paul.
Dodge roll on the right stick. You know what I'm saying?
I would find every cliff in the game, and I would probably make clips of myself falling off every cliff in the game.
Yeah, but I'm saying, like, even I knowing where the cliffs are, and not turning dodge roll off, I roll off cliffs all the time. It's part of the game. But when you have a lot of these bosses, you fight them in arenas, as I call them, right? Enclosed arenas, and there's nowhere to fall to. If you could just get that dodge mechanic down, I think for people like Paul, he still has to avoid the fire. He still needs to find his opening, or find the weak spot if certain bosses have weak spots. It doesn't take away too much from the game, but it adds so much accessibility to it.
Like giving them a limited time slowdown to help them out. You know what I'm saying? For accessibility.
No, I think even with limited time slowdown, these games are too difficult for someone like Paul, if I'm being honest. I think automatic dodge roll would be the best way to do it, in my opinion.
That would help out more people, period.
Yeah. It's not a god mode. It's not more armor.
That would help.
Anything like that.
That would help out everyone, and that would be a good thing too. But this is the one thing I have to say about this coming, because of where this studio is, who this studio is. You will not get this. The only way this will happen is if there's a huge uproar for the fan base, and which it has in the last game, and they said they will not do it. The only way I can see this is if they start getting bad press from the same people who are giving these 9s and 10s still come out and go, yeah, but you need to have this, or this. As long as they're getting praise for the game they are having, and they're still getting the sales,
they're not changing nothing.
They are not changing, and I hate that, because I would like to play the game, but it's just not my type of game. So that's why I stay away from it. But the people who do want to play this game, yes, it's going to be frustrating. Yes, it's going to hurt. Yep. Yes, it's going to make you not be able to play it until they get enough backlash in the media. They are not changing because they're doing so well with the formula they have.
Axel brought up a
message
good point,
to Daddy Phil. He'll make it happen.
Axel brought up a great point. Like, like how some of the Spider-Man and the Batman games, they have that little icon or whatever pops up when it at least kind of tells you when you should dodge. Or what's unbreakable. Yeah. Even something as small as that, which fundamentally would not change the way the game is played, could be set in the accessibility features of the game. So you go down and you turn on, what do you call it? Indicators. Boom, right there.
This game Anvil does that when I play it. There's a game called Anvil. It's still in game preview on the Xbox Game Pass. It's totally accessible to anybody. And that's one thing that I love about it. It's hard, but it makes anybody with the ability to play. You can make a game hard still, like you like, but make it more accessible for people to let them know, okay, dodge coming up, dodge now. Or you find a sweet spot. It's
great points,
a little bit more. open for you to see
Yeah.
it. So it'll make it easier for you to hit the target that you need to, like they used to do in Lost Planet.
Or if you're or assisted aiming, if you got a bow and arrow, for example, where you can't focus in on things. If you're using a bow, you could turn on an assisted aim, so it automatically locks to a target instead of you trying to hope for the friggin' best and hit something, right? Like it's small, small things like that, and I think that's where Paul is trying to make his point as well.
Right.
And we've seen games do little things for people that are colorblind, and things for people with dexterity and different things, even games that have more audio functions now for people that are with bad eyesight or perhaps they're blind and different things. And we know that Phil's on board, because one of the things that Phil's mandate's been for quite some time is gaming for everyone, inclusivity, try not to leave people out. And like I said, I see it from both sides, but I think a lot of people, this is the thing, when their argument with Paul is they don't even try to put themselves in his shoes. Okay.
They don't care about people with the problems like
so
Paul.
Yeah, screw you, buddy. You're handicapped. Well, too bad. That's a really terrible attitude to have. And if anything comes with not understanding aside, the fact that there's 3 minority people on this panel right now, you guys should definitely know how it feels to be put in a certain classification. More than anything, I can't speak on it because you guys deal with more of this crap probably in a year than I'll ever see in my entire life. Right? Fact.
I'll put it, if we bring up, and this will be a good bow, but it's to the fact of kind of what Paul's saying. How Paul's saying they should have the accessibility in there and work to make it in there. I play multiplayer games. Every multiplayer game and server and console and PC says we are going to do better to deal with the toxicity. It does not matter. I get on and play a multiplayer game. I hear crap, whether they know that I am African American black man or not. I'm gonna get crap, or they'll just say it out in the open. I will never be able to play a video game and not hear that. But I wish for it in the future. But right now, I just play the games because there's no way to get around it unless I stop playing multiplayer. But I will not stop playing multiplayer because I like to play it. And it's just a sad fact about the game industry. And a lot of it is not the game industry. It's the people that are in it.
It's been like that since the original Xbox. I've been there since the beginning. So, and it was but I will say it was way worse. Back
it was way
then.
worse.
Oh my God. Way
worse.
Man, but
and
it's gotten better.
I did stop playing multiplayer for about 10 years. I refused to do it until I finally found some friends who, they understood my limitations and didn't give a shit.
And it's not just your color.
If somebody came in the party and said something, they jumped on that.
It's not just your color either. Cool Cat Terri, you're a female gamer. You face discrimination all the time.
They had it worse. They still got it bad.
They still do.
She's a gamer that's female.
I feel bad for female streamers sometimes.
You guys suck. Go back to knitting, or
you either get the generic, go make me a sandwich. Or you think, or because all women who play games must be single and want you, or it's
baby. You sound. I know, baby.
That's
you
a
sound
thing.
hot.
That's
What's your
thing.
number?
I'm on some female streamer chats, and the first thing that somebody will say is, "Hey, show me your boobs." I'm like, really?
Wow.
It's
that was the 360 camera days. I
remember.
Now the boobs were what we were seeing at 360 camera. No.
Yeah, I know. Playing poker. I know. I remember.
Or it's the you're a female gamer. You only play mobile games. You're not a gamer.
Yeah,
or something like that.
Go back to playing Animal Crossing because you don't belong in a shooter.
They didn't have as many mobile games back then when that camera came in the 360. They didn't. So yeah. But
let me get to one more super chat here before we basically close out the show here. We got Sean coming in hot and heavy with $8.99. Sean, good to see you in the chat, man. And I am so glad that you are enjoying the Elden Ring. And we're going to kind of close out on a positivity note here. You got to go. The wife wants me to go for a damn walk. Great show. Have a good day, everybody. Well, enjoy your walk with the wife. And just remember, at the end of the day, especially what's going on in the world right now, enjoy your moments and be appreciative where we're at, because right now I'm pretty sure, and like I said, I don't want to get into political stuff, but I'm pretty sure there are people in a certain country right now who would give anything to be in our shoes at this moment. So put that in perspective, right? At the end of the day, it is about perspective. And that's kind of where we're going. And this is perspective. This conversation we're in started from ratings into accessibility, and again, it's about perspective. And I think if you're always going to be narrow-minded, you're always going to see things through a very focused lens, and that's the way you feel. It doesn't matter about anybody else.
Because the real world is out there, Noof, and beyond video games, it's still the real world, and you need to pay attention to what's going on out there.
Absolutely. Yes, and COVID has certainly taught us a lot too. It's strained relationships. It's made hell for the developers alone. A lot of their games are the product of being disjointed and being spread out over territories and divisions and corporate takeovers. You name it. It's been an absolute crap show, so to speak. And we're still technically coming in it and coming out of it. And now another crap show is going on in another part of the world. But like I said, I try to avoid being political. We all know how that goes. But I don't know, everybody. A great show today. We could have got to more topics, but this can't run too long. So I'm going to let everybody get out of here. No Scrubs got to take off. We'll come back and discuss this again sometime soon. But anyway, big shout out to all the amazing people who came out to watch us today. We're hip to 45, which is incredible. RG Viper X, what's happening, brother? We got Lost Forever in here. He's playing Elden Ring and loving it. Good to see you. And he said he wasn't even a fan, but I guess that's the other thing. He's given it enough time to sort of growing on him. And I do see that too. I see some fans that were adamantly against it, but in time they've kind of got the feel of the series, kind of learned it a little bit. I guess the end of it's like the old school 80s games. They were pretty damn hard. Don't believe me? Go back and try them.
No save points.
Yeah. But it's like everything. Things have to evolve over time. This isn't the 80s anymore. Game companies, like I said, they all have a thing. There's a reason why normal is the default difficulty. Even if some games will have to have that on the screen, say developer recommends playing in normal difficulty. It is the way the developer has intended you to play, because they know the difficulty, how it's going to play out for the majority of their players. And I'm sure a lot of them test drive this too in their studios amongst their own staff and kind of go, okay, how many people are getting past a certain point of the game with, say, your average player skills or playing for a certain amount of time? I mean, I think if you're going to love Souls, you've got to put that time in. You really have to, and I'm talking about your standard stereotypical Souls player. It's all about putting in the work, right? But again, the accessibility point for Paul's thing, that's a little bit different. And I don't know if you heard me, Paul, when you're off screen, but like I said, even little things like little advancements, and you've seen them in recent games, things like perhaps putting in a indicator of when an enemy is going to strike you. So it gives you a little more advanced notice to move or something like that.
Right? Yeah, adjusting the quick time events is a thing that a lot of games are starting to do.
Yeah. So there are little things. It doesn't have to be a huge jump, but there's little things moving it forward. So perhaps in time, maybe they will consider that, but regardless, I do want to say congratulations to From Software for Elden Ring, to everybody that's enjoying it. We're not here shitting on the game. Okay, guys, we want to make that very clear. We are happy that any game scores well. It's getting love. It's getting praise. Okay. Nobody wants to see people fail in the industry. We need these games. We need them to push forward. We are very happy for everyone. We're just stating some points. Like I said, scores, again, it's all subjective. It's just, there's a lot of 10s. I mean, normally 10s, you see the odd reviewer and you kind of go, okay, all right. There's a couple of guys super excited. I mean, heck, I would probably give Rise of the Tomb Raider a 10. Most people would probably disagree with me, but I love the game that much. That was me. And I guess that's where a lot of those reviewers come from.
I'd give that whole trilogy a 10.
Oh,
always and so forever. Much. I've played every Tomb Raider that's ever been made, and I'll never stop until I die.
Amen.
And I give Lara Croft an 11 out of 10.
Oh, you like the blocky boobies?
Goodness.
Yeah,
she's a strong, independent woman, sir. What are you talking about?
She started the whole thing.
Axel poked himself many times during his teenage years with a pair of triangles.
I'll tell you what, if VR was a thing back then.
Axel's like, watch my eyes though, keep them low.
Nah.
Anyway, we're getting to the gaming after dark territory over here. Let's let everybody get out of here. Let's start with Scrubs, brother. Great show, great points as always. You always come in with that level head. We love it. You articulate well, and we appreciate that. But anyway, let people know where they can catch up with you next when you're not here hanging out with us morons.
Yeah, it was great, Joe. Enjoyed it, Sir X, man. Thank you for coming out. I loved it, man. We had a great time. Shout out to everybody in the chat for always rocking with us. Yeah, you can find me on Xbox Scrub Space Nurse. You know, I'm in the Twitter sphere when it can be. That is Scrub Nurse 3, and my Twitch handle is Scrub_Nurse. One thing I do want to say before I get out of here, go onto Game Pass. If you haven't gotten this game yet before it goes out, Titanfall 1 leaves on March 1st. And I know we play, more Titanfall 2 on community game night, but we also play the original one. And if it's just a game that you've never played, it's something well worth it just to try out and enjoy. So that was one thing I want to say, and that wasn't too much stuff from Game Pass coming out. But thank you all guys for coming. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday, Monday, and the grind is starting back up. Well, mine's about to start up pretty quick myself, but always enjoy being with you guys. And y'all have a good Sunday. I'm going to jet before I get in trouble. I'll see y'all later.
Awesome. All right, guys, go catch up with Scrubs. Like you said, when he's not here hanging out with us, gaming beyond the box and all that good stuff. All righty, let's get over and let our amazing guest make it his first time appearance, but definitely will not be his last unless he chooses otherwise. The man with the incredible voice, Sir X-Man.
Hello. It depends on if I get up early in the morning sometimes. But that's about it. I'm just hanging out with Noof and everyone else, just voicing my opinions. You can find me at Sir X-Man on the Xbox, just like it's spelled there. Sir X-Man1 on Twitter and Sir X-Man1 on Twitch. Whenever I can find the time. I've been working too much, like I said, and I haven't had time to play any games. And trust me, that sucks when you get to that point in your life where life comes first and it takes away from your hobby.
Brother.
It's abusive. I missed a lot of great games, and the backlog is real, everyone. So thank you for having me. I enjoyed everybody. Axel, amazing. Scrub Nurse, amazing. Terry, love that rant. Love that rant. I love the way you put yourself out there, and it was amazing. Paul, yeah, I already know you already do that. And Noof, thanks for having me, man. I enjoyed myself.
Great to have you here, my brother. We'll have you back in the near future. Trust me on that. You just let me know when you got some time, and we'll
I'm
get you
always up.
We'll get you up off of them old man pillows.
Old man pillows, man. I'm sitting in a fully triple screen racing rig, man. I got 3 screens. That's why I've been looking left to right. I showed you the pictures. I'm good.
Just kidding, brother.
That has to be hard on the back.
Just keep turning and turning. With the wheel in front of me, I got the clutch 4 pedals, the shifter on the side. I'm good.
Before we get to Axel, maybe you want to read this one up from your co-panel member on Friday nights, Princess Zelda.
Yeah, she says, always an awesome way to start the day. Absolutely.
It is indeed. Yes, don't forget to catch the Iron Lords podcast after this one. Comes up a little bit later. Great guys over there. All right.
Yeah, so I'll just go seeing as I'm already talking.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, Sir X-Man, great to have you here. Great to hear your thoughts on these topics, and you definitely have a fantastic voice in the community. Hey, it might be an old voice, but it's a good old voice.
I don't see it, but I agree with you guys, but I don't see it.
I'm Axel1324. You can follow me here on YouTube and on Twitch at Axel1324 Gaming. I am the host of the Iconic Video Games Podcast every Friday night at 8 p.m. with my co-host Doggy Dog 420 and Princess Zelda, who is in the chat as well today. You can follow me on Twitter and on Xbox at Axel1324, just like you see it spelled out.
There you have it. All right. And the lady who definitely doesn't happen very often on here, but when she gets fired up, boy, she throws it down. Let me tell you, Cool Cat Terri, great insight on the topics today. Again, and I always find it's great. I find podcasts are the best when people get passionate, because that really, right or wrong or agree or disagree, it's just, there's just something about, when people speak their mind, come at you from from that place, you know what I mean? It's just, I just love it. It's great. Because it just shows you how much we care about the business, care about our hobby, right or wrong on certain topics again. But anyway, Terri, it was awesome. Let people know where they can catch up with you when you're not in the middle of trying to get your life and house in order.
Yes, so you can go ahead and you can find me on Twitter at coolcat_Terri. It's mostly indie stuff that I, put on there, but you might find, some other content on there that has to do with my move and everything else. So it's some good stuff there. You can catch me on Twitch. Currently, it's weekdays, Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. to midnight Eastern time, but that is going to be changing. I'm going to be picking up another job, so I will have to tweak that schedule. So, just stay tuned for that. But you can catch me there. I play a huge variety of games, and I just like to hang out. So come hang out, say hello. And then I have my own podcast, Just a Glimpse. It's on YouTube. It's also on Spotify and Apple and all the places. So you go ahead and you can search for that. I haven't been able to upload in a couple of weeks because of my moving. So apologies for those who are active listeners. I haven't had an episode in the last couple of weeks, but hopefully I can get back into that group again soon. And also, I'm a very, very passionate woman, dang it. It's just, I need topics that I'm passionate about, and Halo isn't it.
Wow.
By the way, if you love Terri's rants like she did today, her podcast is literally nothing but those rants. It's actually quite awesome. You should listen to it, guys.
Yes. This is my normal me. It's just I need topics that I feed on, and I don't feed on Halo. I don't feed on PvP games. So if we talk about shooters and things like that, I have nothing to really to comment on. But
there's a phrase, you be you.
Yes. So
Axel told me he's going to do his own podcast based off of yours, but his is titled Just the Pimps.
There you go.
That's right. Players, come on down. Bring your pimp hands.
Oh, God. Pimping ain't easy.
No. Speaking of things that aren't easy, Cerebral Paul, let people know where they can find you, brother. He's like, what?
I'm not easy, but I am cheap.
We know.
Hey, so you can find me on the Twitter, Cerebral Paul 1, best place to follow me because I am on shows, but none of them are on my channel. So on Tuesdays, I'm on Retro Renegade. This Tuesday, I will be joining the Gaming After Dark gang, where you get to see the unfiltered Paul, which is a scary thing if you've never witnessed it before.
Yeah.
And then on Wednesday, I do Midweek Gaming. On Thursdays, I do Four Guys with Quarters, or four, excuse me, can't say that anymore. 4GQ TV. And then Friday and Saturday, if it's a game I like none of the games were this weekend that I like, so I didn't play for community game night. And I'm allowed to take a week off here and there as well. So, and there you go. And I am going to start putting my schedule up from week to week on my Twitter page, so you can kind of figure out where I am at any given time.
Mm-hmm.
I have been streaming on my own channel as well, not so much just last week, but I will get back into that. And those channels are Cerebral Paul on Twitch and on YouTube. And I also pop up on my personal Facebook page that none of you have, so haha. And it shows up on Twitter as well. But yeah, please follow those channels, especially the YouTube one. That's the one where I'm trying to build up the viewership. And follow me on Twitter. Like I said, that's the big one, Cerebral Paul 1. Thank you.
Awesome show, everybody. And Eternal Shaddai, we miss you today, brother. Get back here next week. Hope to have you back in the loop. As for me, you know where to find me, always in the gutter. Yes, Tuesday night gaming after dark, which is 10 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Mountain Time. Cerebral Paul will be our guest this week, so you know the show is going to be on fire. Paul always brings it when he's a guest on GAD. Like I said, he gets a chance to kind of really let loose, so to speak, the unfiltered Paul.
And there's a certain other person on the show that I love to have fun with.
Absolutely. I think his name goes
and
by
it's not
Titan.
the Mag, because he's not there, even though he's a lot of fun too, but not as much fun as
good old Titan.
Good old
Hydro
Titan.
Man,
Yes.
Princess Zelda, Hydro Man.
Great. So good to see Princess Zelda in the chat, by the way. Titan's probably sleeping this morning. Masuko, yes, thank you for being here as well. Ham Solo, good to hear you. Mr. Joanna Dirk in the chat earlier. Got to get you on this podcast at some point. Love what you're doing there as well. And also, guys, when it's not gaming after dark, come back and find us here. And I do have something else in the work, and it's been on my mind for quite some time. And yeah, going to try to add another show to the dreaded amount of shows, I suppose you could say. But I am definitely thinking about doing, because I'm a fan of all gaming. And while I am an Xbox-centric gamer, and that is my platform of choice, I do love PlayStation. I love their games. And I want to do a PlayStation-centric podcast. I don't find there's a whole lot of them out there. Though a lot of the PlayStation ones I've stumbled across, they spend 90% of the show just basically bashing Xbox. So it makes me wonder, is there anything good going on in PlayStation? So I want to try to set the record straight. Doesn't mean I won't call out the hypocrisy or have my opinions, but I do want to start a PlayStation-centric show that is kind of basically based on the model of this one with a smaller panel. I have 2 people assembled already, some which people may know and some which people may not, and I will not announce them yet. I also haven't settled in on a time and date, because I'm really trying my damnedest, which is nearly impossible, not to step on anybody else's toes in the podcast community. But at some point in time, I'm just going to have to lay it out there, because again, there's so many podcasts. It's just nearly impossible to avoid anything. It's like darting into oncoming traffic at this point. So keep an eye out for that. We'll have more details on it soon. Trying to also nail down a name for the show, which I'm going to hopefully get the community to vote on as well, which would be really cool. And yes, I will have another PlayStation 5 here in the next couple of days. I will keep everybody posted on that. I was a dumbass that got rid of it the first time. It will not happen again. Everybody's like, yeah, Noof, never mind. We know you're Noofonomics.
Yeah, I heard that on your.
Yeah, we heard that before
the other day. Yeah.
But anyway, that's it for me. Great show today. We had to keep it on point and under obviously 2.5 to 3 hours, because people got to get out of here. I'm one of them. I got to get going. I got a hockey game to catch, and I got a lot of crap to do beforehand. The New Pony podcast.
That's so Canadian hockey. So Canadian.
Yes, absolutely. It is so Canadian. Hey, man, I got to try to take off some of this extra biscuit I put on here, man. I'm getting all fat and pudgy. I'm starting to look like freaking Kirby over here. What the heck?
If you were closer, you could come to the gym with me.
Oh, I would love to. I need some gym people to go with.
You need to call the podcast the haptic. The haptic
feedbacks. Oh my god, that's actually a pretty good name.
Feedback podcast.
Haptic feedback loop.
Yeah, the motion controllers.
No, don't go there.
Doggy Dog has one for you.
Don't do it.
Doggy Dog has a name for you.
Oh yeah, I can imagine the hate I get just from that title alone. And just people showing up. Oh, Noof, you piece of beep, 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 beep.
I think you need to bring in the Pegasus squat.
Yeah, I see how much hate I get on the or how much hate Mag gets just for putting on the unicorn hat. So,
oh my god, it's so funny though.
Lord. It is funny though. You got to admit, man, you got to make fun of some of this stuff. That's part of it, right? So,
and if you're not making fun of the troll, then it's not trolling, you know.
Absolutely,
you're just having fun with your friends.
Oh, your controller podcast. Oh my god.
Wow.
Yes, we'll just call it, instead of Astrobot, it's the Ass Bot.
I knew that.
How about the damn, that's a huge bitch podcast.
Why you guys talking about the Duke controller like that? Don't be talking about the Duke controller.
The Duke. Come on. The Duke is no fluke. And we have started another podcast at the end of this one. Here we go. Anyway, guys, great time. Thanks for being here, Sir X-Man, Terry, Axel, Cerebral Paul, Scrub Nurse. Great show today, everybody. Anyway, to chat, you guys are amazing. Chase Jones, catch you soon, everybody. Take care, have fun, stay safe, and like I said, we'll see you next week. Cheers.
Bye.